Okay. And what about the corporate non-manufacturing, the service side?
Yeah, in the corporate side, the people on the company roles are very less. Could be 3, 4, 5, 10. Generally, I mean, what I've seen. And the number on the outside, the outsourced elements are huge. But the outsourced element, the guarding portion of the outsourced element is less. But in between, the mid-managerial level is also outsourced. So the top layer, which belongs to the client, gets narrowed down in the corporate sector, and the vendor side element gets stretched. But it's we can differentiate between that. There are three layers: a blue collar of the vendor, a white collar of the vendor, and white collar of the client. Whereas in manufacturing, it is white and blue. So generally, that's the.
Okay. And so typically, what kind of ranks and positions or designations are awarded to security professionals? What we generally hear when you say white collared or say the top hierarchies is CSO, but I think CSO is a very misnomer kind of a term. It's more of an appointment rather than a designation.
So in CSO is more of a manufacturing terminology, I'll say. In the corporate side of it, it is generally called as country security head, right, or regional security manager if he's handling beyond India. For example, if he's handling Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and few other countries in Asia. So it could be regional manager South Asia or regional manager Asia Pacific if he is having few countries of the MENA. So that's how it is. But generally they are called as you know country managers, right? And he may not be called as senior manager. So or CSO. It will be called country manager, regional manager, cluster manager. These kind of terminology. So the multinationals are using.
What kind of an interdepartmental coordination does a security team does with, say, IT, legal, HR, business support services, admin, etc.? How do they form the support mechanism for operations to carry on?
In fact, that's the most challenging and most important role of any security professional. The collaboration with various stakeholders within the same organization. So whether if we have to do anything with workplace related issue, like if I want an extra desk for my team member, then I'll have to go and interact with the facilities. If I want, some electrical connection to one of my cameras and all that, again I'll have to go and meet with the facilities team. HVAC or electricity and water and everything comes under the admin or the facilities team. So everything which security needs in terms of support, in terms of administration and infrastructure, we have to collaborate with the facilities team. Somewhere it's called admin, somewhere it's called facilities, right? So that is one. HR is entirely a different function. So the professionals who are on the client side have to interact with the HR in terms if they have to hire a new position or create a new position, then they'll have to interact with their own HR team. And also the HR side of the corporate has an element which takes care of the vendor workforce which work on their client. Like a significant element of the vendor or the security service provider will work out of the client workspace. So when they work from the client workspace, there are a lot of regulations and policies which the client has to comply with in line with the law of the land and their own internal protocols, which is global in nature. So a very vital part of HR is managing the vendor workforce, and they have multiple vendors. So that's also a great area that the security professional on the client side have to be in touch with HR. The legal has a big role. Any violations, any issues which has some compliance component, they have to be in touch with the legal department of their company. And also, if the company gets some legal notices and direction, that also flows to the legal through security, because legal department doesn't have too much manpower and they are not front facing. So the security is the front facing element of legal also in most of the corporates. So, and then their procurement, of course, if you have to float any of the security tender, you have to deal with your procurement team, right? Because you will give your requirement specification, but the interaction with the vendor will be done by the procurement or commercial team, because the client side of the security also cannot do commercial negotiation with the vendor. So that's how the interaction between security and the procurement comes. Then the business side, of course, because ultimately they are the ones we all are supporting, whether it is HR, whether it is security, legal, we are actually serving the business need of the organization. So those are the key stakeholders whom we all are serving in a way. So that interaction is very, very vital. And with business element comes there's enough. Everybody is interlinked. So unless we have the ability to work with many masters or many stakeholders, it becomes very difficult to survive.